I was born in the city of Philadelphia, right around Temple University, and that was always an interesting experience for me, being around so many international students. And they would walk through my neighborhood, which is, which is essentially the hood, to go to the train station, to go to class, and that always intrigued me, having to see so many different people, because you're, in the neighborhoods, inner city neighborhoods, sort of isolated. I've always had music in the household. Of course, we grew up in the church, and my grandmother was this wonderful woman, very musical, and she made sure that all of my aunts and uncles played instruments. You had to sing, or you had to play an instrument, you had to do something musical. So we would have jam sessions. We would have gospel jam sessions, and my mom would jump on the piano, and she could get around the piano quite well with in the gospel style. And one of my aunts would jump on the drums, and we have somebody beating the tambourine, and we would just we would just have church on a Sunday afternoon, and you had children shouting up and down in the living room. So it was quite wonderful. It was in a row house. The neighbors didn't mind. No, I guess they sort of knew my family, and they knew that that was our way of living. That was our way of getting through the day. We just sang, and and it was awesome. Now, my experience with classical music started around junior high, when I was in 6th grade, and I had a wonderful music teacher by the name of Virginia T. Lynne, and she was my first piano teacher. And I just remember going into the school, and as a kid, and I don't think I liked the school very much at first. I mean, what kid likes going to a new school? I just remember sitting in that class and hearing the piano in a different way. Classical music, was Mozart or Beethoven, and that sound right from the start just it hit me like a ton of bricks, even as a kid. So I begged her. I started to beg her every day to teach me piano. Teach me piano. Teach me piano. I had to beg her because she said I was a knucklehead, and I probably was. At 10 or 11 years old, I could get into quite some trouble. So after she believed I was ready to start piano, that's when she conceded, and she said, "Okay, I'll give you piano lessons." And we started to have lessons every day after school. Started book 1 on up, and then after a while, she said, I think I can't teach you anymore. I think you need to study with a professional pianist. So she said, why don't we try Settlement Music School? So I auditioned for Settlement Music School. Settlement Music School is a wonderful music program. They actually have several branches in Philadelphia. So I'm just really grateful that we had something like Settlement Music School, and I auditioned there. And I remember Irene Pokrovsky was a piano teacher there, and she said, let's give him lessons. And my mentor, my first piano teacher, Virginia Lamb, she explained that his family, they can't pay for these lessons. What are we going to do? And the director decided that they would give me lessons for $1. So it was $1 a lesson. I remember sometimes I think I was responsible for paying that $1. It was interesting because some weeks I would be backed up, and they're like, your bill's here. It's $6. So I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I can pay that. Not much debt there. So those are my first experiences with music, and I stayed under the tutelage of Irene Pokrovsky until college. And so around maybe 14 or 15, it's interesting because I started practicing at Temple University. My first music teacher, or my first piano teacher, Virginia T. Lamb, she went to Temple University, and she set up those lessons for me. So I was actually practicing around those students who I would see coming back and forth, back and forth. I was now a part of their world, and that was so amazing for me to be around different influences like that. And the students there, they found it interesting too. They'd be like, "Hey, come hear this kid play this Chopin impromptu. Yeah, he lives down the street down there. This kid's awesome." Those are my earliest memories of music. When I tried out for Settlement, I remember I played, and I was obsessed with this piece. It was Rachmaninoff Prelude in G minor. Boom, ba ba ba, boom, 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 ba ba ba, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that was an awesome piece, and actually in the middle section of that piece, I think there's like there's some 2 against 3 or 3 against 4, and I remember that's when my music teacher, my first piano teacher, said, "You can do that stuff." She was like, it's time to take you somewhere else and get you studying with a different pianist of a different caliber. And I remember. I remember auditioning for college. That was a whole different experience. It was a wonderful experience, terrifying, but wonderful. And I remember just before going to the college auditions, I went to Brevard Music Center. I was actually a bad boy in Brevard Music Center because I was kicked out one summer. Yeah, I was asked to leave. I don't know. I was doing something with some other kids, and I got into some kind of trouble. But when I came back to Philadelphia, my mentor, first piano teacher, Virginia T. Lamb, she was pissed. She was angry. She said, "You're not serious. Are you really going to go to college? Are you really going to pursue piano?" I guess that experience sort of made her doubt that I was serious about classical music or serious about pursuing music. I had to sort of prove to her again that this is my life, and I could leave my sort of bad behavior in the past and all of my misdeeds, and I could jump on the right track and pursue music. And so I remember I started practicing really, really, really hard, and I even won a piano competition in Philadelphia, Kyle Rudman piano competition. I won a silver medal or something like that, 16 or 17. And then she started to have faith in me again. And then she set it up because she set FAFSA up. All that stuff was new to me. And she took me to every audition. I auditioned at Manhattan School of Music. I actually got in Manhattan School of Music. I auditioned at Peabody, I think. I auditioned at Temple University, also North Carolina School of the Arts. And that was actually I don't think I wanted to go there. I was like, I want to be in New York or something like that. She said, "No, maybe going to the South, maybe that's good for you. It'll slow you down." So I said, "Okay, all right, I'll audition." She said, you have to go where the money is. You have to go where the connection is with the teacher, because that's very important. And I had there was a wonderful professor at North Carolina School of the Arts. Now it's called University of North Carolina School of the Arts, but wonderful professor there by the name of Clifton Matthews. And we really connected, and I said, I think this is right. So I auditioned for him and got a huge scholarship. It was a no-brainer. And that's where I did my bachelor's in piano. It was at the North Carolina School of the Arts. Around the 3rd year, I began to be interested in conducting. And it was just like, it just hit me all of a sudden. It was just like, boom. I started watching Bernstein videos. I found myself going to the college library every day, watching Bernstein videos. That connection of body and music, that kinesthetic power in conducting is what really attracted me. And I said, and in Bernstein, this guy, he can move. This guy, he had the moves. I was really captivated by it. And I said, I want to try this. So I began following, here I go again, I began following and begging the conducting professor for lessons. It's like, you're not a conducting major, get out of here. And it was this wonderful guy named Serge Zinneker. And Zinneker was a wonderful conductor himself. I began going to his classes every day here, just watching, learning those little nuances, upbeats, 4 patterns, 3 patterns. And then by the 3rd year, I joined his class, and I took it very seriously. I was always prepared, always knew the score, and he started to notice some talent there. It's like, wow, look at this, this guy's pretty serious about it. And then the thing to do was to go out and recruit students to play in a sort of makeshift orchestra. You would recruit your own students, and you could perform. And we had something called performance hour every Wednesday. So we would have performance hour, and I said, you know what, I'm going to put this orchestra together, and I'm going to conduct. And I remember the piece. It was the Mozart violin concerto. Mozart violin concerto number 5, and I loved that piece. Studied every inch of it, and had a pretty good performance. Those were my first experiences with conducting, and then I decided that I should stay and maybe do a master's in conducting. Of course, I had to audition just like everyone else. Of course, I had been studying with Serge Zinneker. I had been studying with him for 2 years now, and but I was practicing really diligently and really meticulously, and every day, maybe 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day, just looking at scores, reading them. And then I auditioned. I auditioned for Zinneker with the other prospective students. I got in. They only took one conductor. These programs, conservatories, they take 1 or 2 a year. You have to know what you're doing and believe in it. So I was accepted, and after entering the master's program in conducting at the University of North Carolina School of the Arts, I remember studying with Serge Zinneker, but only for 1 year because Serge Zinneker was leaving. So I was without a conducting teacher for my 2nd year at the School of the Arts. But the new chancellor who was coming in was John Mauceri, great maestro. He's known for being the founder of the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra. And he was a big figure at that time. So, I'm like super excited. And he comes into the school and he says, you know what? And he sort of saves the day. It's like, I'm supposed to be the chancellor. Of course, I'll be the chancellor, but I'll also take on Jason as a student. So I got to study with John Mauceri, and he gave me an apprenticeship at the Hollywood Bowl. I stayed in the Hollywood Hills. While in college, just studying under him, learning scores, learning how to connect film scores with orchestra and the syncing of that, which is not easy. And he helped me prepare for my Cleveland audition at the Cleveland Institute of Music. And with his help, I got into Cleveland Institute and had a great, wonderful experience there as a conducting student. After North Carolina School of the Arts, I felt like I needed more training. I knew that the Cleveland Institute of Music, I knew that their conducting program was a little more intense. I mean, you had Cole Topolo there, who's a great pedagogue, and you had Louis Lane there, who was also a retiring conductor, fabulous pedagogue, served with the Cleveland Orchestra for a while, and Topolo himself is the conductor of Cleveland Pops. I auditioned at CIM, and it was a tough audition. It was a tough audition. We had to sing a recitative and conduct at the same time. But the trick was you didn't know that you had to sing. So I said, okay, I know it. I think I know it. I know where to beat. But then when you show up at the audition, Topolo, he asked, do you want to sing it or should I sing it? So you're given the option to sing it. There's no singer there. It's a test. If you can't conduct a recitative if you can't sing it. If you can't sing it, you don't really know it, no matter what the language is. And I remember this was Italian. It was from Mozart. think it's from Così fan tutti. I remember, I said, oh my God, okay, I have to sing and conduct this thing. I put the music on the stand and got my baton up and I started. As I was singing and conducting, I remember with my baton, I knocked the stand over and the music went falling on the ground in the stand. And then I had to sing it from memory because the music's on. I can't stop and pick up the music. I sang and I conducted from memory that recitative. Didn't make a mistake. I remember finishing and Topolo said, oh, that was exciting. There's a little bit of drama in that audition. And maybe that did the trick. I was accepted to Cleveland Institute. After graduating in 2009, I remember going back to Philadelphia. Virginia T. Lamb, my first music teacher and piano teacher, was now a music supervisor for the school district of Philadelphia, the entire school district of Philadelphia. Now she was in a unique position where she could hire me to be a teacher, instrumental teacher. As a budding conductor, you want to go to Europe or something, you want to go out there and conduct these fabulous orchestras and this, but she really made the job appealing because she actually prepared me by offering me an instrumental specialist teaching position. And basically what I had to do was learn 3 or 4 instruments and then audition to be a teacher. After approval, I would be accepted as an instrumental specialist. And that was appealing to me because as a conductor, the more familiar you are with the various instruments, the better you'll be. While in Cleveland Institute, I was actually studying not only conducting, but I was studying violin. I was studying trumpet, trombone, flute, clarinet. And I was actually taking those courses. I took in Cleveland, I signed up to take violin. And I was actually playing clarinet. So while conducting, I'm getting all of this, I'm getting this experience as an instrumentalist. And I would go to different classes and a professor of trumpet, and I would hear him and hear what he was doing. And I would learn from that. So by the time I graduated Cleveland Institute, I had enough skill as an instrumentalist to become an instrumental specialist with the School District of Philadelphia. And that's what I did for maybe 4 years. I actually built 5 orchestras in my neighborhood. I went back to my old schools and implemented orchestral programs. After 3 years or so, I felt like it was time to pursue conducting in a more professional light, and that's when I started to work with the Philadelphia Youth Orchestra. I also met a wonderful lady by the name of Jeri Lynne Johnson, who had the Black Pearl Chamber Orchestra that she founded. And she said, I don't think this city is utilizing you as much as they could. So why don't you become assistant conductor of Black Pearl? That was my first professional job. I was super excited. I got to watch her rehearse. A wonderful, wonderful conductor, very meticulous. So I learned a lot from her. Also, I started to do competitions. I saw competitions in Italy and Romania and London. I went to a master class in Florence. It was a master class and competition. This was the first time I was sort of in a competition environment, which could be very cutthroat. It was just, I didn't even think about that part. Just being in Florence was so amazing. It was that city has so much life, that's the birthplace of opera. It still has that magic, that old magic. So I ended up winning first place at this competition, studying with the Maestro Lanzetta, Maestro Lanzetta, great conductor. And that really, from there, I gained a certain amount of confidence. I said, wow, I can really do some things. I need to really focus on conducting now. And I actually left the School District of Philadelphia and I came to Atlanta. I also was interested in moving to Atlanta too because I'm a lover of all different genres of music. And I know Atlanta it's a city of music. If I wanted to do my producing, which I started to do in Philadelphia, I could do the producing. I was producing rap, I was producing R&B. And it's like, how did we go from conducting classical symphonies to producing rap R&B? all the time, all the while studying classical music from 10 on, my love for gospel and rap and R&B, that love never went away. So, I mean, by the time I was 20 or so, I found myself wanting to produce R&B records and hip hop records, and even through college, that passion never left. I knew that once I had graduated, I would go back to my love for various genres of music. And a lot of people don't know this about me, but I had a record label. Fresh out of college at 25, I had a record label in Philadelphia. I had maybe five artists, and I did all the producing for them. My moving to Atlanta was, or is, an attempt to bridge all of those things. My love for producing, my love for orchestral music, to blend all of those things and become who I think I would like to be. Yes, my conducting heroes. My first conducting hero is Bernstein. He was the one to bring me to conducting. It was just something about his kinesthetic power. He could move. He could tell a story through his body. If you just watch him and you didn't hear any sound, you could almost name the piece. That's how poignant his conducting was. It's really exciting. The latest one was Dudamel. His rise was just it's so exciting. You know, here's this kid coming out of this program, you know, El Sistema. He's just on fire. You know, he's just on fire. He's just, his technique, his passion, his musical insight, magnificent conductor. Riccardo Muti, another one, strong force. And I find myself taking a little piece of all of these guys and you know, incorporating it within my conducting. Just watch and learn, and ultimately find yourself. You have to find yourself, because before I conduct, I train. I don't know if many people, other conductors, see it that way. You know, we call it studying, but I train my body as well as my mind with the score study. I match my body and mind together. So it's typical for me to bring my score to the gym. I do body and mind. I found myself incorporating hip hop and breakdance in my conducting. I don't know how many other conductors can say that, but that's who I am. That's where I come from. I come from hip hop era. So it's quite interesting, and I don't always know that I'm doing that, but when I reflect and I look at my conducting videos, I see that, you know, wow, was that a pop right there? It's pretty interesting. Orchestra Noir started maybe 5 months ago. The idea has been circulating in my mind for quite some time. It actually came to fruition while in Atlanta. I was at an event of 100 emerging black men event. I remember seeing so many young urban black professionals, a real black middle class. You know, I've never seen that in Philadelphia. So when I'm coming down to Atlanta, which is what, 54% African American, and I'm like, wow, look at this place. That very night, it popped in my head, Orchestra Noir. Just like that title, that name. And then I said, okay, this is it. Let's go. You know, let's do this. Let's pursue this. I said, we need an orchestra that represents this demographic. We need an orchestra, especially at this time. I feel that there is a sort of new black renaissance, a black renaissance that's going on now because of what's happening, the police shootings. It's people, I think as African Americans now, we're starting to look inward. We have to look inward and reconnect with our beauty, our culture, what we feel, what we should do as a community. Orchestra Noir is also a product of that. You know, I didn't make it up. It just, art is a product of its time, of its zeitgeist, of its environment, and so that's how Orchestra Noir came into being. Auditioning players almost all the time now. I mean, it's probably 50-piece orchestra now, and I mean, that's very exciting. It is, and we're growing all the time. Inaugural concert is September 16th, so it's on a Friday night, night at the Opera. We have a lot of excitement around it. People are really anticipating this event. I'm excited as well. We have some wonderful people coming to join us. Brenda Turner, who just moved to Atlanta. We have Washington Isaac Holmes, wonderful opera singer, gentleman, baritone, taught at Payne College in Augusta. We have wonderful Janice Jean. We're doing some Gershwin, Summertime, you know, operatic style this time. Oh Mio Bambino Caro. I mean, the classics, the real classics. When you think of opera, these are the pieces that come to mind, you know. So yeah, I think the audience will enjoy it, and I'm really excited just preparing for it. You know, that's really interesting because that's something that I want to champion, getting the younger people, switching the scene up a little bit. Me, myself, I don't like to go to symphony concerts. I'm a conductor and classical music, and I really don't like to go because I just feel like it's too cramped. You know, when I listen to music, I don't like to sit next to, you know, people I don't know and sit in this tiny chair. You know, I need space. I want to move. I don't really sit still when I listen to music. I like to move. And one of my favorite places to go to, I like going to the nightclub. I like going out. I like having a drink. So I try to blend those things. I think that's the key, and that's what we're doing at Orchestra Noir. We're taking it out of the concert hall, and we're finding places that more resemble a nightclub. You know, that's, you know, something that people are more familiar with, and I just want to take that sort of stuffiness out of concert going, because it has never appealed to me much, and that's who I am. Again, Orchestra Noir is also a reflection of myself. Yeah, so at Orchestra Noir concert, you'll always have a reception. You'll see people mingling. You'll see people dressed up, Atlanta sharp, gowns, tuxedos. It's always an event. It's never just let me go and sit in this tiny chair and put my coat, and you can't put your coat on the back of the chair. You have to put the coat in the lap and stay like. When I listen to Tchaikovsky, I want to move. I want to be free. I want to feel like I'm at some place where I can be loose, you know. So that's the goal, and it's also how you market it. You know, you have to, you can't give the same old, you know, marketing techniques, same old pictures, and you have to switch it up. You know, you have to really draw people in to fill those chairs. Chairs are hard to fill. And then the crazy thing is that the people sitting in those chairs, they don't pay the bills. You know, I mean, they cover a portion of expenses, but you know, it's really outside funding. That's what you have to get. But you still need a fan base in order to appeal to the outside funders, the sponsors. So it's still very crucial. We have to continue to fill the chairs, get the young people, keep the older people, because they're very crucial as well. We can't forget about them. And that's the great thing in Atlanta, you know, the older people, they like to go out too. They like to be seen. Who doesn't like to be seen? At a concert, I feel like the person should feel as if they are seen. They are somebody. They're a star too. They're a star as well. One of the other things I'm excited about with Orchestra Noir is that we can give to people who are homeless. That's really something that is close to my heart. I had family members who were homeless, if I can do something to help with that cause, I will. And I think Orchestra Noir is a great vehicle to do so. All ticket purchases will go to that. A portion will go to homeless, treating the homeless. I mean, there's 24,000 people right now in Atlanta that are homeless. 24,000. African Americans, 7 times more likely. If I can do something, I want this to be it. I can help with this. Orchestra Noir can help with this. So I'm really excited about that. And that's the purpose, you know. The purpose of an organization is to do something good. Do something good, change things, you know, be the change that you want to see.